Greetings! My name is Brendan Dax McDaniel, and I'm an adjunct instructor at Bellevue University's College of Science and Technology. Welcome to the Going Back to the Basics Spring Faculty Development Day. Today, we're going to be learning about an opportunity that can benefit every instructor at this school, regardless of what department that you work in. Specifically, we'll explore the theory of educational action research and its arm to act methodology so that you can see the benefits of applying this approach. Then we'll take a deep dive into the ethical considerations when conducting research with human populations so that you can take advantage of your unique position as an instructor to use your students for future potential research projects. After all, research shows that conducting educational action research improves the educational experience for the student. It betters your teachers by improving their teaching acumen, skills, and their best practices, and it benefits the organization by increasing interdepartmental communication as well as increasing the number of publications. But before we get into the details of EAR, I'd like to share a quick personal story of an action research project that took me from the enlisted to officer ranks of the United States Marine Corps to bring this idea to life. In 2011, equipped with my MBA in hand and over 10 years professional work experience under my belt, I enlisted in the Marine Corps. They shipped me off to San Diego, California for boot camp, and I spent the next 4 years promoting to the rank and billet of platoon sergeant and starting my PhD on research psychology. I was shocked to find the outdated leadership theory that the Marine Corps used for its formal education and leadership training courses. There are 3 or 4 week resident courses that all non-commissioned officers have to go to, and they were using leadership theories from the 1950s to teach these Marines how to be leaders. What I was also surprised to see was just how supportive and receptive the course instructors and military leadership was in finding ways to improve their curriculum and course to make the best leaders possible. Over the next 6 years, as I commissioned as an officer, promoted to the rank of captain, and was placed in command of the largest company in the Marine Corps, I witnessed widespread institutional reform across the Marine Corps. They started to emphasize more modern and more effective leadership styles, specifically transformational leadership, when it's applied to decentralized or empowered small teams. Also, as company commander, I had access to all of my Marines to use as participants for my dissertation. The topic? Training authentic and transformational leadership styles in the Marine Corps. And as I completed those first couple of chapters, struggled through the literature review, the research design, and worked to get my project approved, I found that the people that I would talk to about my action research project were interested, and they were very supportive of my efforts. They wanted to put me in touch with other people doing great things in the leadership field, and it really opened up a lot of doors for me. And so I want to take this experience as a case study for you, that if you conduct your own action research project, doors will open up for you. You'll be able to advance your skills as a teacher and advance your career as an educator. Today, in the first half of the agenda, we're talking about educational action research, its philosophical and theoretical underpinnings, that arm to act methodology, and the benefits. Second, we're going to transition to that IRB approval. And this is a conclusion of my Marine Corps dissertation story. Unfortunately, I was unable to complete my dissertation and will be plagued with that acronym ABD, all but dissertation, until I go and complete that dissertation. Period. One of the hardest things I found for my dissertation was getting the IRB approval, because it required more stringent approval because it was a dissertation, but also approval from the United States Marine Corps' IRB, so double approval.
My efforts today are geared at smoothing that IRB hurdle so that you can conduct your own educational action research. And the second half of the presentation is going to be focused on just how to do that. We'll look at the Belmont report, which talks about the ethical considerations when using human subjects in your research. And then we'll look at Bellevue University's IRB approval process. So let's get into the philosophical underpinnings of educational action research. And it starts with the early American philosopher John Dewey. And he was a pragmatist, which means he focused on those real life results of his theory. He was the one who noted that education was essential to democracy, as you needed a well-informed population to be able to vote appropriately. He also identified that in any version of an ideal society, you would have an educated population with the means of continuing their education. So, a huge proponent for early American education systems. And an equally famous American psychologist, Kurt Lewin, took these ideas and ran with them. He was the one who coined the term action research, and he wanted to use it to apply it to everydays. He wanted to apply the systematic scientific approach to our lives so that we could learn from our experiences in a systematic way. And if doing so, we would achieve the benefits of improve teaching experiences, right? Improve learning experience. Additionally, there's going to be increased cooperation between departments as these projects can be done independently or collaboratively. And any teaching department can benefit from the results. Even though this theory came around over 50 years ago, work is still being done on it today in specialized populations with specialized groups with learning disabilities or other factors on how to apply educational action research. So still relevant today. In fact, in 2020, a meta-analysis was conducted reviewing the last 10 years of EAR research, and this is what they found. The main areas of these projects are in the teaching approaches and strategy. Those are those best practices. What are we going to use that works the best? Additionally, they looked at the students' learning experience. So they turned the table around, put themselves in the student's experience. They looked at curriculum design, and they also looked at teaching philosophies and how it improves the underlying philosophical foundation for your teaching philosophy, with most of them being done in the teaching approaches and best practices. Okay, now let's move on to the methodology, that ARM to ACT methodology. And we start with that A, ask a question. Now, this is developing a hypothesis, but it doesn't even have to be too refined at this point, because that next step, R, read and review, is that literature review where we're going out there, we're seeing what work's already been done, and hopefully we can find an area we're interested in that hasn't been published so that we can make a major substantial contribution to academia. Okay, once we've got our idea and done our homework, next we make a plan. And this is where we get into the research design. We're defining our variables. Is it going to be a quantitative or qualitative analysis? What are our measurement techniques that we're going to use, right? And so that's all the planning that goes into it. Now, what we don't see here is this bang, right? Which is the actual getting IRB approval and conducting your research. We'll get into that in one slide here. But once you've conducted your research and you have your data, you got to analyze it. Take that extra time and then develop a C, course of action, to implement it into your life. This could be changing your own life, could be changing the way you do teaching, could be changing the way you're a student. All right, and that last one, T, try it out, right? And this, I want to add a little more encouragement with some exclamation points. Go out and try it out, right? It's a great idea. It's going to open up doors for you and improve your skills, and it's going to be fun when you do it too. Okay, so we understand EAR, the ARM to ACT methodology. Now let's take a look at some of the ethical considerations we need to look at when conducting research with human populations. And our foundation is the Belmont report, right? Now this came around after the Tuskegee Airmen, the syphilis experiment that was done in America, as well as after the Nuremberg trials post-World War II, and we found out about the scientific experiments that the Nazis were conducting. So we needed something, and this was a response, the Belmont report. It identifies the difference between practice and research, which is really identifying whether educational environment or whether this is biomedical, right? With a lot more risk on the practice side and minimal risk in that teaching environment. It outlines the basic ethical principles of respect for persons, beneficence, and justice, as well as recommends those applications for any research study. And if you've conducted one, you know how important they are to get informed consent, to do your assessment of your risk and benefits, and how exactly you're selecting your subjects. Additional information not included here is the federal requirement for IRB approval. All right, bottom line up front, educational environment. If you're not using federal employees or a federal organization, you don't require federal approval. All right, now here is behind the scenes. If you are using federal people on a federal case and you're doing it in an academic environment like teaching, the risks are so minimal that they're exempt from requiring that type of approval too. So good news on those fronts, and let's move forward with the approval we do need, Bellevue University's IRB approval. All right, now first step, you got to complete the online training. The link's listed below. It's a short quiz on the Belmont, which by now you should all get 100% on. The next part is that completed IRB application. And you can see the contents that you're going to have to put together, right? They'll want to see the questions and the instructions that the students are going to get, and then they're going to send it to review. Now they've got options for expedited review, which is one person gets it and makes their recommendations, or the full board review. Now, almost all of them that they do are expedited because these are the ones that are just classroom environment. If you're doing biomedical research or something with higher risk, you're going to be looking at that full board review, and they meet once a month. Now that board's going to give you their feedback, approve, deny, revise, get third party. You incorporate their feedback, and then you're good to go. You receive your IRB approval and you can conduct your research. Okay, in summary, today we talked about that personal case study of action research, and hopefully I inspired you to go out there and try something new to see these doors open up in your life too. We looked at the theory of educational action research, its philosophical underpinnings, as well as its arm to act methodology, the benefits that it provides, and how we can incorporate it with different populations. We examined the Belmont report and the ethical considerations that we'll need to do in order to get our research approved and how that approval process works. Okay, I want to take this time now to thank everybody for participating in the Spring Faculty Development Day. Thank you, Bellevue University, and everyone who helped put this event on. I can't wait to meet all of the other instructors out there. I'm looking forward to networking and sharing our skills and knowledge more in the future. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day and great spring. Thank you.